in the next 2 to 3 years. Let's start with number one, offensive tackle Darien Canard. This is a player that the Packers picked up, obviously off the scrap heap. They traded, what was it, I think a 7th-round pick for Darien Canard, and he came over from a championship caliber offensive line in the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they're notorious for building in the trenches, both on offense and defense. And some people are probably going, how do you put Canard on this list? Now, listen, he's been playing what we call Y70. He's been coming in as that extra tight end on the offensive line and kind of filling that role for us. And he's a player that when he's on the field and run blocking, man, he looks great. Pass blocking is a little bit suspect, but I just want to kind of break down where he ranks right now amongst the rest of the National Football League, okay? 11th overall graded NFL offensive tackle in the league at the moment, man. This kind of caught me off guard. Now, you see the pass blocking grade of 59.8, but the run blocking grade of 91.5. Maybe that explains why he's not a starter, and they're just utilizing him in those roles where they want to bring him in and give kind of a 6 offensive lineman set and also bring in Wiley to play fullback. Typically, they'll shift him into the backfield and play that H spot, shifting over from you. But Darien Canard's overall PFF grade now, guys, is an 80.2. And here's what's cool about that. You look at that and you go, okay, well, how many snaps does he got? He's got 133 snaps. So, you've got other like Wanya Morris from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's grading out at a 79.2. He's only got 45 snaps. And everybody else on this list that's graded out this high, you see 600 snaps, 700 snaps, 600 snaps, 300 snaps, right? You can look at that and go, well, if Canard had 400 snaps, he wouldn't be graded that high. That's a valid argument, right? That's a valid, hey, that could be the case. Who knows? However, the fact that all these other guys that are grading out this high have that many snaps makes me wonder, should he be in the offense more often? Now, let's compare him across the Packers roster. When you look at the offensive players on the Green Bay Packers roster, Darien Canard is the 5th highest graded player there. He's right behind Josh Jacobs, who has an 80.9. Zach Tom's grading out an 82.0. That's hands down your best. That's your franchise tackle, right? You just gave him the bag, gave him a big extension. So Canard is right there in that range. Now, obviously, with Zach Tom, a little more balanced, 76.2 pass blocking grade to our boy. To Canard's 59.8 pass blocking grade. However, he's grading out significantly higher, like 9 points higher than Zach Tom in run blocking. So when you take everything into consideration and go, okay, you got Jaden Reed at 89.9, only 23 snaps. Jordan Love, 84.4. By the way, that's where you want your franchise quarterback, is leading your team in PFF grade on his respective side of the ball. 84.4 for him. Zach Tom, 82.0. Josh Jacobs, 80.9. 80.2 for Canard. You now got Christian Watson at a 78.6. PFF is essentially saying Canard is a top 5 player on this offense. Yet he's on the bench the majority of the time. We bring him in those heavy sets. What I would like to see, and I just said this on Twitter, and listen, I want to hear from everybody in the comments. There may be a lot of people that disagree with this take. I want to see Canard get a start. I want to see him play right tackle. And you're probably going, whoa, what about Zach Tom? What if we forget about the salary, okay? Forget about what guys are getting paid. Zach Tom's getting paid top money because I think he's an elite offensive tackle. He's definitely a great offensive tackle, right? So to somehow paint a picture that, no, we can't move Zach Tom because you're paying him all that money, that's what you're paying him the extra money for, is that he's versatile enough that possibly we could kick him into center. Hear me out. When you turn on the Giants tape, what did you see? You've seen the interior offensive line getting their ass kicked, right? We've seen Dexter Lawrence many times. Jordan Love just having to scramble for his life as soon as the ball was snapped. Go back to the Philly game. What did you see? You seen the interior offensive line struggling, right? So what if you tried Zach Tom at center and let Canard start one game? I'm not talking about name him the starter from here on out. But you know what? We're all about mixing and matching, right? You're all about playing career left tackles at right guard. You're all about playing who was supposed to be a starting right guard that you drafted in the 3rd round as your backup center in Sean Ryan. Why not just take a gamble here and say, let's give it one game. You ain't even got to make it through a game. Start him at right tackle, put Zach Tom at center, see if that fixes the offensive line problem from the inside out. And then at halftime, reassess. You know what? okay, this was a mistake, or hell, even after the first quarter, this was a mistake. Okay, this ain't working out. Kick Tom back to right tackle. Sean Ryan's ready to come in at center. He's gotten plenty of reps there. Why not just take a look at that, right? So that's kind of how I see that. I want to know what everybody thinks in the comments as well. As we got here, Chuck Jagger says, "I like him." You know what you're getting with Canard. It really does feel like that, right? Now, listen, there's been 2 penalties on only 133 snaps. That's a problem, right? However, Zach Tom's got a penalty already on 396. I'm trying to see if there's any other offensive line. Rasheed Walker's got 5 penalties. My God, right? Something has got to change when it comes to obviously the when it comes to the consistency in the offensive line. What are you trying to accomplish with the offensive line, right? You're trying to create a more consistent pass blocking unit, right? You're trying to create a more consistent run blocking. You're trying to just create more consistency in the running game in general and protect Jordan Love's life. I think we would all agree, right? So why not just go this route? I don't understand why we're so hesitant on doing it. Now, if it's, hey, if we go that route and we now all of a sudden don't have him as that extra offensive lineman, you can still kick him in there or kick someone else in there as the extra offensive lineman. How about your second round pick, Anthony Belton? Let him be the extra offensive lineman, right? I'm kind of spitballing here, man. I want to see Canard get an opportunity, and it may be disastrous. I'm acknowledging that. I'm not sitting here saying that you put him in, it's a slam dunk guarantee. This offensive line is going to get so much better. I'm not saying that at all, right? But why not give it a look, seeing how the offensive line has been playing? So now when you look at it on the season, here are Canard's grade by week, okay? 57, 69, 77, 74, 60, 63, 75, and that gives you the 80.2 PFF grade on the year on 133 snaps, right? When you look at his young career, there's what's wild. He's only been in the career, this is in the league, his second year. He had 71 snaps last year, 61.3 for the Eagles. This year, 133 snaps, 80.2. So you've already seen an improvement in Canard's game, right? Now, you're probably asking, okay, what about the future of Canard? What's his contract look like? Is this something that if we did roll him out there as a starter, is that going to blimp up his overall value? And, oh, crap, now we've got to pay him the big bucks, right? Well, he is a restricted free agent, okay? So now the question is, do you see him as a restricted free agent, or do you want to give him a future contract extension if you like what you've seen both in practice and what he's done in the game? So with restricted free agency, again, this is only his second year in the league. I think he played with the Chiefs first, went to the Eagles, and then the Eagles traded him to us for whatever it was, a 7th-round pick. Maybe it was a comp pick. I can't remember if there was maybe some kind of incentive attached to that trade or not. You guys let me know in the comments whether there was. So when you look at this, right, restricted free agency, what does that mean? I actually pulled it up earlier, and I think I may have put it in the wrong spot. We'll get to the other player in a sec. But essentially, the easiest way to look at restricted free agency, guys, is you want to essentially, you've got him under contract if you want him, okay? And I'm just going to read off restricted free agency just as an AI overview, okay? An NFL restricted free agent is a player with three accrued seasons whose contract has expired and can negotiate with any team, but their original team has the right to match any offer or receive draft pick compensation by tendering the player on a 1-year deal. These tenders come in various forms, including first round, second round, or right of first refusal, which determine what type of draft pick is given if another team signs a player and the original team doesn't match. So you see he's a restricted free agent here according to Spot Track, if their information is correct, right? So essentially what you can do is you can say, okay, yeah, if you want to go offer him money, right? If you want to make him a tender offer as another team, if you want to go that route, then you're going to give us a draft pick depending on what we tender him at, right? So essentially, if somebody wants to pay him like a starting tackle, then we can get big money back for that, right? If you want to tag him with you as a general manager, you've got to sit back and go, okay, what is he worth to our franchise? If we were willing to part ways with him, what would we need back? And then you've got to agree to pay him that unless someone else offers that type of compensation. So what would that be? A 5th-round pick, right? So now you flip a 7th into a 5th if someone else sees him more valuable than you. Is it a 3rd-round pick? Then you got to be on the hook to pay him that kind of money, right? But the point here is anytime you see restricted free agent or exclusive rights free agent, you might as well include them on the roster for the next year, okay? Because you have his rights. right? So Ron Sample said, did Canard get snaps when Tom was hurt? I don't know if he got those snaps at right tackle or not, because he was only out for like, what was it, 3 plays? So I'm not 100% sure on that, Ron. We could probably pull the snap count for that specific game and then go back and try to match it up with the tape. But I wish I had an answer for you there, buddy, but I don't. I apologize for that. So again, when it comes to our boy Darien Canard, I want to know what you guys and gals think in the comments section. Do you think it would be worth it to throw him in at right tackle and see what he can do at the right tackle position as the starter and move Tom to center? Do y'all think it would be worth it for that? Or do you think, no, Tom's too valuable at right tackle, let's just leave him there? We want to hear from you in the comments. And if you're watching this back later, you like this type of content, make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, moving along.